All right, all right. Here's the deal, everybody. I've had all kinds of difficulty streaming in two places tonight. So I'm going to give everybody a moment to get on in because we just had unexpected difficulties happen. So once again, we're just going live just now. So come on in and join us. We're here. Man, that's crazy. So yeah, that's interesting. I don't know. Everything was perfect, and then it just would not connect as expected. So we just had a little bit of difficulty tonight, and that's okay. But we still gonna go. We still gonna keep making it happen. We still gonna keep making it move. That's what we're gonna do. So just come on in. Give everybody a chance to come on in, sit back with us, and relax for a second. Hopefully everybody's doing all right. When you get in, say hello, say hi, all that wonderful stuff. Still got an amazing topic to talk about. We still got our timeliness. We're still going to operate pretty well. So thank you for joining us. But yeah, I just had some difficulty with that. That's interesting. And the worst part about it, yeah, forget it. It is what it is, right? You're gonna have technical difficulties. It ain't no big deal. I'll solve the problem. Let's just put it that way. But I'm not on LinkedIn tonight. Definitely not on LinkedIn. And just for some reason, it just didn't want to do its thing. And that's okay. It does happen. But that's okay. We will end up having this being recorded, so then everybody will actually have access to it. Yeah. Hey there, Sabrina. How you doing? Welcome. I had some difficulty tonight in terms of things going right on this thing, but that's all good. It happens. It works out that way. Hey there, Jennifer. How are you doing? Hopefully everything's right. Good for you as well.
Didn't want to
Let
do
me
it.
go ahead. I didn't sit up here and put this thing on my computer in a different kind of way, so I don't want to do that either. But we're good to go. We're just gonna get ourselves going and make it happen. So, welcome. This is the Devon Morris Unfiltered Call-In Show, where we talk about agile entrepreneurship, Scrum, and then we answer your questions related to that. So you can see I'm in a different place. I'm not in the studio. The studio looks different, and I will be doing a lot of traveling for the holidays. So I'm gonna be in a few different places. That's just gonna be facts for me. But it's not gonna prevent me from getting on and getting live with you all and just moving forward. So as you come in, make sure you say hi, and then we'll go from there. Let's see. The way we kind of work this thing is we actually start off with having a few introductory comments, right? And then we talk about a topic for, 10, 15 minutes. And then after that, we go ahead and we open the floor to answer any questions that you may have. So get your questions queued up because we're still answering questions. We're still doing everything we would normally do in our night. Okay. So let's see what's been going on. I see Jennifer said hello. So good evening, Jennifer. How are you? Hopefully everything is going amazingly well for you. Sabrina, welcome. I always like first timers. If I had my gong, I would hit my gong. For every time a first timer come, I would hit my gong for you, right? But welcome, Sabrina, and thanks for showing up. So anybody else that shows up, please give me a shout, say hi, so then I can at least say hi back to you. But let's go ahead and let's start talking about the topic at hand because this week I have some actually in the past 2 weeks, I've had a lot of leadership things that I've had to dive into. And so I said, what better topic than to talk about than leadership agility or the things that leadership must have? Well, things that agile leaders must have, right? And I think that boils down to a few things. And I think you will actually absolutely agree with me, especially with the things that are going on in the world, right? So here's a good question for you, right? Here's a good question. For you all that are in the room here, my question for you is, what do you think that agile leaders must have? Whatever you think those things are, drop it in the comments, right? what are some things you think that agile leaders must have? Understand, I agree with you that leadership is everywhere. You're not going to get a disagreement from me in that. But I'm specifically talking agile leaders, right? So what is it that agile leaders must have is my question for you. And I want you to think about that. And as you think about it, drop your answer or your thoughts in the chat. And let's talk about it a little bit, right? Because I think agile leaders are different than any other kind of leader. We are in a place where change is happens so fast that change that used to take 10, 15 years happen in months, right? So we're in a very different place in this world. And the question is, how does agile leaders harness that? What kind of qualities? What do they need to do? What do they need to think about? What is it that agile leaders need to do in order to kind of move forward in a way that allows teams to be the best that they can be, right? I'm going to give you 4 different things that I think agile leaders need to encapsulate. They need to have embodied inside of them that I believe that you will agree with maybe just a little bit, right? So just taking it piece by piece, the first thing that I would say, just to kind of jump on a cliff here real quick, is I believe that agile leaders need to have the ability to innovate. Okay? Now, the ability to innovate is something that for any leader that I've ever been associated with, especially when I look at the top rungs of the organization, there was some way that they could get the organization, get themselves move in a direction that would always bring something new and different, or at least empower their people to be able to do that. And in doing that, they end up positioning themselves as an organization to do great things. Now, if you're going to innovate, that means you obviously got to do a lot of other things in order to be able to innovate. But having the ability to innovate is extremely important when it comes to an agile leader, because you got to think different. You got to do things different. If you're used to being a more traditional leader, you got to change a lot of things about yourself, right? In order to be able to even think about being that way. So literally, it's just a very different way of being when you think about an agile leader, right? Now, I get some people throwing some things in the comments, right? And I would love to talk about a couple of these things, right? Sabrina says, hey, patience, right? Agreed. I think patience is important. I think the next thing I'm going to hit you with is going to, going to surprise you, right? But I think patience is really important. I would say absolutely, Jennifer. Resilience is absolutely key. I always think about building resilience in many, many ways, and I try to make sure leaders have that resilience that they need to have. So I agree with that. I think leaders need to have that as well. Adjust under pressure. Sabrina, I like that one. And since you said that one, let me add to the mix and let me spin on that one a little bit, right? Because I do think leaders need to do something that's really unique. And that is outperform, they need to outperform challenges. They need to get through challenges. They need to outperform challenges that happen because change is going to be constant. Resistance is going to be constant. So they need to outperform the challenges that occur. It's kind of one of those things where you think about it. If an organization is innovating, right? Great. If the outside culture is moving at a pace faster than your environment inside, you probably got a couple little problems, right? You're probably going to run into some unique challenges. And as you go through changes, as you deal with market pressures, you have to learn how to outperform that. And you have to learn how to get others to be able to do that. Because a lot of times the leader isn't doing the actual work, but they got to be able to motivate people to want and desire to do the work. And the desire to do the work is a whole different thing. So I think being able to adjust under pressure, I'm just going to call that really truly being able to outperform challenges, right? Because that pressure is naturally going to come. So I think that was an excellent answer, Sabrina. I really, really do. Another thing that agile leaders must do, I always think about data, and data is always extremely important to me. I'm a metrics guy. I'm always deep down in the metrics. I'm the guy who learned how to take story points and learn how to build earned value management calculations using story points, right? I'm that guy, right? Because I sometimes when you're an organization, you got to replicate what they're doing before they would even allow you to do something different. So I think leaders need to take good calculated risk. Now, I add calculated into that for a reason. Because, good risk is one thing. But I say calculated because I really truly believe that organizations need to build platforms, tech platforms that are data driven, that allows them to answer questions quickly. Right? So again, as they're building all these things, as they're building all these capabilities inside of the organization, I really truly believe that they need to be able to build platforms in the organization that allows them to capture, take hold of this data so they can make good calculated decisions based on the data that they have available to them at the time. Because again, what you have available to you could mean it guides you in the wrong direction. But the idea is you made an educated guess and you use that educated guess to move forward. And that's really extremely important no matter how you look at it, no matter how you want to slice it, right? So taking calculated risk is a good thing. And the last thing that I would say, the final thing on my list, and this is always going to be on my list, like no matter what, right? I think they need to be able to handle feedback. It's one thing for them to have all these experiences, but them being able to take feedback and being able to incorporate feedback in the various ways that they need to is absolutely critical. And it's super important to every single step that they take, right? So when it comes to you being a leader, you have to be able to take that feedback and find ways to harness that feedback so then not just you grow, but the organization grow as well. So when I sit back and think about that, I'm always keen on retrospectives, right? I think retrospectives are a really important part of what you do, whether you want to call it Kaizen, lessons learned. That doesn't matter to me. Just some way we're going to go about making things better, right? And whether it's the product or process, whether you're doing both at the same time, I don't really care. The idea is that being able to take that feedback and being able to harness that feedback and turn that feedback into something great. So that's what I would love to see Agile. That's what I want Agile leaders to do all the time. So let's just repeat these 4 things so then we're all on the same page, because it's not a complicated list, right? It really isn't a complicated list. And I'll just go backwards for the heck of it, right? First and foremost, well, the 4th one that I gave was for a leader to be able to harness feedback. Harness feedback in a way that can allow them to grow, the organization to grow, everyone move forward in a way that makes sense, right? The 3rd thing on my list was to take good calculated risk. Those calculated risks should be data driven, right? They should be based on the things that they've seen, their experiences over time, but data is a huge component of that. And then that 2nd thing was to outperform the challenges that keep coming. Right? You got to be able to outperform the challenges, no question. It's almost running like a 2 horses against each other, right? You got to be able to outperform those challenges, right? And last but not least, any leader must have the ability to innovate, especially an agile leader. An agile leader is dealing with change probably more than any other leader. So you have to be able and be willing to innovate, right? So when I think about leadership, I think there's things that you need to do as a leader. But I think these 4 things would be amazing for most agile leaders to actually have. And most leaders that I've experienced, even the ones that aren't agile, the ones that can adapt to change quickly, I normally see these four characteristics. This is what I normally see in those agile leaders or those leaders that are able to really adapt to change and adapt to change really quickly. So that's a good one, y'all. This is some stuff that's been on my mind, but it's definitely been on my mind this week. So I'm very, very happy to be able to talk about this topic because it's just uniquely different. So I'm gonna say to you all, this is the time for us to open up the actual floor and answer any questions that you have. And you know how we operate. We either answer the questions on the show live, or you're welcome to drop your questions in the chat. So please take a moment, drop your questions in the chat, any questions that you may have. I know that we had some difficulty and we probably are not going to have the same numbers we normally would have, but that's okay. We're going to still rock, right? So I'm going to say hey to you, Evelyn. How's it going? Hopefully you've had a good week so far. I mean, I know it's Monday, but you know, Monday's a day, right? Yeah, Monday's a day, no question. So drop those questions in the chat or come online and I'm willing to answer those questions. Now, I need to provide you with a way to join us online. So I'm going to do that as we speak. Let me grab the actual interview and let me throw that out there for you. There's a link always for that, so I throw it in the chat. Now, again, this is only going to be placed on the one place where I'm at right now, and that is going to be YouTube, right? So LinkedIn, I'm going to catch you next time. I wasn't able to go live in two places tonight. I just was having difficulty in dealing with both of those places at the same time. And I don't know what happened, right? Every time I normally do it, it works like a charm. But tonight, I tried 4 times and it just did not want to go. And that's okay. I'm going to have a good retrospective about it and figure out how I'm going to fix it. So y'all might see me jumping on live a few times this week because I need to figure out what that problem was. But other than that, it's all good. I've been having a good week. I got a client to go see tomorrow up in the city I love. So I'm looking forward to, hanging out with that client and, meeting some of the leadership that exists, right? It's going to be an amazing time because the leadership that exists, they want to do some stuff, man. They want to do some stuff. Like when you actually bring me around at all, like when you literally bring me around, they want to do some stuff, right? Because a lot of people know what I'm bringing to the table. They know that I'm gonna give it to them real. They know that I'm gonna be really honest and truthful with them because I have no reason to be anything different than that. So I'm actually really looking forward to having these conversations happen and go on this week. It's gonna be amazing for me, absolutely. So I just can't wait. It's like a kid in a candy shop. I love it. And I enjoy being in the candy shop, right? I really, really do. So I appreciate y'all and appreciate everybody. So do me a favor, everybody. I'm about to start answering questions here as they start coming in. Like and subscribe. I think we literally have 700 people subscribed. 710 people is what I counted last time. I don't know what the number is right now, but that number is a good number. I didn't think I was going to have 200 people, right? When I first started this show, I was like, there's 300 people interested, from a little survey that I did. And that now that's turned into 700 people, so that's a good thing. So we're going to keep rocking and we're going to keep doing what we do. And we're going to make sure we do it the best we can do it because that's what we do. Why would we do anything different than that? Anyway, that being said, drop your questions in the chat if you want to join the show. I dropped the link there. Just know that anybody that joins the show, they're obviously going to get priority in terms of the show. So you got any big questions and you want to exchange with me, join the show. But other than that, drop your questions in the chat and we will go from there. I got people asking me what happened on the other lives, and I'm gonna go over there and answer it a little bit. I'm gonna go over there and answer it on LinkedIn a little bit, but I really have to be over here because it gave some real problems. It gave some real problems, right? So yeah, so I'm gonna drop links over there real quick, y'all. So just give me a second so I can drop this YouTube link over there for them and tell them to join me over here, and then we go from there. But yeah, man, I could not join both lives tonight. It would not allow it to happen. So yeah, LinkedIn is the preferred platform. Not LinkedIn, YouTube is the preferred platform, so it is what it is. So yeah, so it is what it is. Nothing I can do about that. So let me drop a link here. So yeah, so I'm just letting people know that we had some problems over there and to join me over here. So I'm gonna do that real quick to my peeps, because my peeps are talking to me. Let's see. Problem with LinkedIn. So yeah, so other than that, I'm gonna start answering questions in just a minute. I used to have a whole team, but you know, we my volunteers had to go do bigger and better things. They had to go do bigger and better things, so it is what it is. Not much I can do to get around that. So let's see. One more time. Let's see what else. So yeah, all right, y'all. All right. I'm feeling good. So yeah, so that being said, let me go here and start checking out the questions that you all have. I'm still super excited, but I'm always excited. Why would I be any less excited, right? You know, it just is what it is. Sometimes you have technical difficulties and we keep it moving, right? Whoa. Did you don't even say that to me, Jennifer. I think she just said if what Jennifer said is true, I'm gonna have a fit. I'm gonna have a literal fit. Yeah, we getting close. We getting close to that 1,000, Jennifer. And when we get to that 1,000, we're gonna have a nice celebration, right? We had 722. We're gonna get to that 1,000. We really gonna get to that 1,000 at some point, right? But we not there yet. We are not there yet. We going there. We gonna get there, but we not there yet, Jennifer. So we gonna get there though. So let people know about the show. Anyway, that being said, let's start asking a couple of questions. Look, did you say a nice haircut? You know what? I cut my own hair. Did I tell you that? I be cutting my own hair. I've been cutting my hair since I was, you know what? When I was a little bitty kid, my grandmother used to take me to the barbershop to get my hair cut. And I was like, that's a lot of money. I said, I'm too broke to do that. And so I started cutting my own hair, right? So anyway, this is the reason why I cut it bald, low. It's much easier. So I appreciate it. Thank you. I do appreciate it. It makes me feel good. It makes me feel good, right? To feel like my hairstyle is appreciated, right? Anyway, hey, thank you. I do appreciate it though. Seriously. What y'all should be concerned about is that on my chest. That jiu-jitsu, baby. I told myself I'm gonna get back to rolling soon. So I'm coming back to the gym. All right, so here's a question, y'all. Let's begin this process, right? Y'all know how we roll. Y'all know how we do, right? So please drop your questions in the chat, because we gonna make it happen. We gonna do it. That's what we gonna do, right? So let's see. When getting feedback, what are some techniques that can be used to differentiate less useful comments from actual constructive comments? Here's the question, and here's the best way I can put it to you, right? Sabrina, let's talk about you, and let's talk about Scrum, and let's talk about, how things probably should be. And let's kind of work this thing out a little bit, right? First things first, let's say I'm a Scrum Master. I probably shouldn't be the one that is determining whether that feedback is useful, right? I should be letting other members of the Scrum team help determine that, right? Now, let me tell you why I say that, right? Because as a Scrum Master, I am supposed to facilitate, not necessarily be a participant, of things like the retrospective, okay? And being a facilitator means that I'm not really that major participant. You're going to find in a classic retrospective, for example, the major participant is going to be the developers, right? And the product owner is supposed to participate. They're supposed to observe, supposed to be involved and engaged. But the Scrum Master is kind of a little bit outside of that, and they're going to be facilitating this event. Now, as a facilitator of this event, the way that I kind of make sure that feedback is useful to the team is because they give the feedback. Let me try that again. When I do a retrospective, when I do any lessons learned, I'm not the one that's giving all the lessons. Let me repeat that for you so you all understand. I'm not the one. Matter of fact, for a typical retrospective for me, I'm not coming up with any of the lessons learned. Let me say that again. I'm not coming up with any lessons learned as the facilitator. I'm really not. At all. Do you hear what I just said? At all. The people that are coming up with all the retro items, with all the improvements, are going to be the people that was doing the work. It's going to be the developers and the product owner, right? Now, let me say that to you. What else am I saying to you? If they come up with the feedback items, right? If they come up with the feedback items, right? Then what I classically had them do is I had them vote on it, man. That's what I do. I had them vote on it. Now, if I have them vote on what they think is the most important stuff to do, then guess what? It's probably constructive. It's probably good feedback at that point, right? Now, do I need to keep people from cussing each other out? Well, if you're about to cuss somebody out, that's a whole different problem, right? So we got to deal with that. We got to stop that from happening because people should be able to operate and work within a safe environment, right? They should feel safe in terms of the environment that they're in. They should feel safe. If they don't feel safe, then that's a whole different problem. Whole different problem. Does that make sense? So realistically, when I just think about that, I just say to myself, first of all, it's not about me. It's about them. And it's about getting them to the place where they need to go next so they can make the very next sprint better. Now, anything that is not in their control, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to escalate that stuff. But normally, my constructive feedback is a beautiful thing because it comes from them, right? And then they'll take those items on and deal with them accordingly, right? So really, really important. And then we just kind of go from there, okay? So Sabrina, hopefully that's helpful for you. And then we just kind of, go from there, right? Let's see. What are the comments? Actual constructive feedback. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Lizzie knows me well. She says, why do I cut my hair? I cut my own hair because I'm cheap. That's the reason why I cut my own hair. Because I'm cheap. I was cheap as a kid. My philosophy was, hey, man, why spend $20 on a cut when I can spend $20 on some clippers? It's like more like $100 on a good pair of clippers now, but it's all good, right? Let's see. Write and remove impediments. Am I correct? I don't know what question you're asking, Yachina. So write and remove impediments. I don't know what you're asking, right? Am I correct? Yeah, the Scrum Master removes impediments, yeah. The Scrum Master don't have to be the only one, but yeah. Yeah, so I don't know. You may need to re-ask that one because I'm not quite getting that one. So thank you. What's up, Patrick? How's it going, buddy? How's it going? How you doing? Hey, Patrick, you know what we're going to talk about next week? Let me tell you what we're going to talk about next week. We're going to talk about what your actual plans are for 2023. So remember we were talking about goals before? Now we're going to talk about what are going to be those first steps over the next 3 months that you're going to do to execute those plans. So big guy, I'm looking for you to come and be ready to talk about it because we're going to hold each other accountable in the new year. So Q1, baby, I want to know what you're going to get done in Q1. You hear me, Patrick? You hear me, Patrick? For real, man. For real. No jokes on that one. Let's see. We are at the back of the room. The team is in the front. Yeah, true. I agree with that when it comes down to retrospectives. We diffuse conflict. Yes, we do that too. Let's see. Wonderful comments from Lizzie as usual. Another amazing trainer from Bearded Eagle. The second. Did y'all just hear me? The second black certified scrum trainer. But you heard me say the second one, right? But she the first black woman, though. But she the second black person. Anyway, the point I'm making is, no. Lizzie's amazing, right? Always Lizzie's super amazing. All right, so then correct, because they are self-managing, yes. I mean the engineers, right? So in Scrum, when you say the engineers, I'm assuming that's the developers. They are self-managing. And self-managing doesn't mean that I can't facilitate some things for them to help them achieve better results. So it does not mean that whatsoever. Okay, so just know that, and it's just like when we talked a couple weeks ago, how the Scrum Master doesn't need to be at the daily Scrum. If you are a Scrum Master and you see that you need to be at the daily Scrum, you probably are trying to run it like it's a status meeting. Or you're just there as an administrative assistant, right? And none of that is a good thing. You should be, the best way that I put it is that as a Scrum Master, you probably should be working yourself out of a job. A lot of people don't want to hear that, right? But you should be working yourself out of a job. And I truly try my best to work myself out of a job, right? I work myself out of a lot of jobs, actually. Y'all, I realize I got bags. No, that's a lie. I've had bags forever, since I was a little itty bitty kid, man. They're permanent bags. They always been there. You know why? Because I work hard. That's the reason why. Because I work hard. Somebody just gave me a thumbs down. I have not seen that yet. That's okay. Thumbs down. They don't like me today. That's okay. We're good to go. All right, so that being said, let's continue talking here. Scrum Master, let's see. We got people saying hello to each other. That was helpful. I'm glad that was helpful. And being in the back of the room, that is helpful too, right? One of the things is that Sharon Bowman, I think it's Bowman, right? So Sharon Bowman writes a book. She wrote a book called Training from the Back of the Room. And if you all are interested in training or being a better facilitator, that is a good book to read. So I would definitely think to myself, go grab that book, Training from the Back of the Room. It's one of those ones that I keep, in the toolkit. So Sabrina and everybody else, go take a look at that. Okay, go take a look at that book. That book will actually be one that will interest you quite a bit. So if you do that, that'd be great. Let me know what you think about it. And she's had some amazing trainings. People have become certified as back of the room facilitators. So it may be something that you could be interested in as well. So definitely investigate Sharon Bowman. It's an amazing book. I'm telling you. If you look at you look at a lot of trainers, they tend to implement some of the techniques from that book knowingly, after reading it. So that's an amazing thing, man. So let's talk about this one. Most of the times during stand-up, when the team is given several updates, mostly technical, I usually feel somehow I can't contribute. And so I tend to be quiet most of the time. Is that okay? Well, David, I got a question for you. What's your role? Right? Now, if you are on that team and you're one of the developers. Now, understand what I mean by developers, everybody, so we're all on the same page. When I say developer, I'm using the Scrum 2020 guide, the Scrum Guide 2020's definition of developer. And that's anyone that is working on any aspect of building whatever it is we're trying to build, right? That increment, right? So that means if you are a software developer, yeah, you are a developer in the Scrum world. If you're a tester, you're also a developer in the Scrum world because they're one of the people that's working on some aspect of building whatever it is that we're trying to build. So now, if you are one of those developers, then that's one thing. I see David has said he's the Scrum Master. I would guarantee you, David, that most of the time there is nothing for you to contribute. Now, here's the question, David. If you was to think to yourself, well, first of all, the first question I would ask you, David, is does your team have a sprint goal that they're trying to achieve for that particular sprint? If they are, now your daily Scrum questions should be focused on achieving that sprint goal. Does that make sense? So that means now you're talking about what we have done to meet that sprint goal so far, and what are we going to do to adapt to make sure that we meet that sprint goal. So now, if you're not a developer and you say you're a scrum master, assuming you're not playing two roles, making that assumption, that means that you're not working on the sprint goal. And since you're not working on a sprint goal, that means every single daily scrum you would have nothing to say. Which is completely logical, right? Because the main purpose of the daily scrum is for the developers to synchronize. And I would recommend you definitely look at the prior show because you want the developers to synchronize. And if the developers are synchronizing, then you are in a good place. You are definitely in a good place if they're synchronizing, right? That means, David, if you're giving some type of an update, I'm coordinating my work based on where you've been and where you're going. And the rest of us should be doing the same thing. So when you really think about it, David, you really have nothing to do or nothing to say. And the vast majority of the time, probably 99% of the time, the only thing that you're providing with the team with is administrative updates. Because those impediments, I mean, a lot of them you hear about outside of the room, right? Outside of the daily scrum already. And since you hear about most of those things outside of the daily scrum and the developers tend to take the rest of that stuff offline and deal with it, what else is there for you to do, David? I mean, literally, there is not much else for you to do at all. So literally, I would just say to you that you probably want to just go ahead and just consider that's just the way that it is. And find ways to kind of remove yourself and give it to the developers. Allow them to just use it to synchronize. And then just kind of go from there. If they need some help, for sure, help them. If they need some facilitation, for sure, do that. But realistically, you don't have to be the person that's there, right? So it just is what it is. Don't take any offense to it whatsoever, because it's nothing against you. It's nothing against any scrum master, right? The manager questions my value. He said that I am usually quiet during the stand up. And your manager's there, that's another problem, right? Why is your manager there? He said he wants a scrum master that is asking questions. What questions does he want you to ask? So he doesn't want you to be a scrum master is what he's saying. He's saying he wants you to be somebody who commands and controls a team. So that's a very different thing. So I don't know what your job is, but maybe your job is that of a project manager. Maybe your job is that of their manager or their boss. Maybe that's what your job is. Because if you have a self-managing, self-organizing team that is cross-functional and is doing the work they need to be doing, going to the daily scrum to ask them all kind of questions does nothing but make the daily scrum longer. I would definitely be I would be going and talking to them outside of that, but not to make it a question fest, right? So your manager may not be as educated on what Scrum is and how to deal with things. So maybe you want to educate them a little bit because it just seems like they just want to control everything that's happening. And they're using you as the proxy for their need for control. They're using you as the proxy for their need for control. And you hit it on the head there, David. You probably already knew the answer to that. I don't know what you do about that because, your manager, your boss is your boss, right? And a lot of times it's really hard to go above your boss to complain. But I want you to take care of yourself. I don't want you to do anything stupid, but I want you to take care of yourself in that kind of environment because that can be a little bit tough and that's a little bit stressful. As a scrum master whose manager is telling them to do something specific that's kind of out the boundaries of what needs to be done, and your team doesn't even want that. Your team is just like, this is ridiculous, right? So, as stated, be careful. Be careful, okay? So that was a really good question there. Now, that's a really interesting situation, and that's a lot of stuff to be dealing with there, David. So I wish you the best of luck on that. If you have any concerns or questions, definitely come to the show. Let's chat about it. Let's talk about it. Let's go from there. So I think, that's crazy, man. That's crazy. But again, you're not the first one to experience it. You won't be the last one to experience it. You won't be the last one to experience it, right? Let's go ahead. Let's talk about this, right? What disqualifies a Scrum Master candidate if you were interviewing the person? Me not knowing Scrum. So, I know a lot of people who say they know Scrum and they don't know Scrum. Like literally. I'm gonna tell you how. Okay, let me tell you something, right? I work for Bearded Eagle, and we have contracts that happen. And sometimes I get on a contract, right? Literally. And I will bring another Agile coach in, right? Bearded Eagle, not Bearded Eagle. And I will literally say to them, give them a pen and say, man, here's a dry board with nothing on it. Teach me Scrum. Scrum is not that difficult to teach, right? So teach me Scrum. I want to know kind of where they're at. I want to know kind of what they know. I want to know kind of all the Scrum butt stuff that they do, how they think about Scrum. I really do that not just for them to teach me about Scrum, but for me to teach them me about everything else about them. Because if they're hesitant, that means that can mean something to me, right? If they don't know what they're talking about, if they talk like, and I will know based on that conversation whether they really have experience, right? Because I can ask a question or two to dive a little bit deeper. So literally for me, I just tell you to teach me Scrum. That's it. That's how I know. That's how I really, really know. Teach me Scrum. And if you are experienced, you're going to teach me Scrum a little bit different than somebody who's brand new. For real. And if you don't know what you're talking about and you always only worked in organizations where Scrum is too much of Scrum butt, I'm going to know that too. Just in you teaching me Scrum. So literally, what disqualifies any candidate for me is, do they know Scrum? Because the one thing that a Scrum Master is supposed to know is Scrum. That may seem a little unfair, but it's not. Because a Scrum Master is supposed to know Scrum. Okay? So for me, that's my big question. And the only problem that everybody on the planet has is there's no textbook answer to that. There's no textbook answer to it, man. So, if you just don't have it, you just don't have. If you don't have X, you just don't have it. So I'm going to ask you to teach me the Scrum. That's exactly what it's going to be. And I've done that with consultant after consultant after consultant. And I guarantee you, when I go work for a client this year, because I'm going to find a client to work for this year, I guarantee you that I'm going to sit with the Scrum Masters and I'm going to have some one-on-ones and I'm going to tell people, teach me Scrum. And I'm not trying to down anybody. I'm not trying to make anybody look bad. By far, I'm not trying to do that. I just need to know what I'm dealing with. So, and then we can actually get on the same page. That makes sense? So we can get on the same page. At minimum, get on the same page. Okay? So that's what I would do, me personally. That will let me know. That will let me know everything. Okay? So, let's see. David, you are certainly welcome. Just anytime. Just come on back, man. Let's put it this way. David, when you need a shoulder to come cry on, come back and talk to us. This is your family right here. So if you need to come talk to us, come talk to us, right? So once again, if you like the show, go ahead and click that like button. Subscribe to the show. Most of you have already done that. We are obviously continuing to grow, and we're going to see what else Sabrina has, because Sabrina has another question. This is kind of hard for me to believe that a Scrum Master is more hands-off than I imagined, especially when I read some of these job descriptions. Sabrina, let me tell you something, and let me be 100% real with you, right? A company hires what they want to hire to fill the position in their company that they're trying to fill, based on what they imagine it to be. It's not about Scrum. It's not about the traditional process. It's not about anything like that. So if I know that if I know that a Scrum team needed to do some metrics that needed to fit into our system of record, and those metrics were normally done by our project manager, then I'm probably going to have that Scrum Master do some of that and some project management at the same time. If I know I'm weak with making sure requirements are good, then I'm probably going to have maybe ask for a Scrum Master that is good at writing requirements, good at talking with stakeholders, right? Which is stuff a product owner should be doing. But if I am hiring somebody, why not ask for what I want? I'm paying them to do a job that I want them to do. It doesn't matter that Ken Schwaber and Jeff Sutherland said this is what Scrum is. Just because Jeff and Ken said this is what this is, it doesn't mean they got the right to tell me what to do in my company. Does that make sense? Like, they have no right to tell me what to do in my company. So an organization can hire whatever skills that they want to hire and put it under whatever title they want to put it under. That doesn't matter. So I know at Bearded Eagle, we're not no huge company. So we don't have people that can only do exactly one thing and that's it. No. Because we're not a big, gigantic company. We can't just kind of specialize our skills to that degree. So you're going to find a lot of job recs that, hey, are asking for the moon and stars if they can have it. What you have to do is you have to make sure that when you read those recs, you want to do. That's something that you can do. And if it's not, then I'd be reconsidering applying for that particular role at that particular company. So, again, lots of job descriptions don't match exactly what should be said there, but it just is what it is. But if I'm the hiring person, I'm going to hire what I want to hire. I'm not going to hire what Scrum tells me to hire, if that makes sense. I'm just not going to do that. It's my money that I'm spending. So it just is what it is, right? Does a boss in an IT firm really care about you as a person, or do they care more about their job security? I mean, like the CTO, the vice president of engineering. My question is, do you care about people that work at your job? I don't know. I don't care about everybody I work at the job with. We work at a job together. Man, I almost don't care about everybody in my family. So if I don't almost care about everybody in my family, I'm not gonna care about everybody in the job, right? So is a CTO's job to care about people? No. It's not their job to care about people, right? It's their job to get some job function done that they need to get done, to maybe make the position better than what it was before. So when you do have that CTO or vice president or whoever that does care, you should find that to be a benefit, very valuable, because all of them don't care. You know, there are different types of leadership that exist, and, you know, authoritarian, transactional leaders where they are worried about the job, where they are worried about the actual transaction itself. They're worried about the task. They're worried about the specifics of the duties that don't classically have anything to do with an individual person. So I'd be real careful about that if I was you, right? But, you know, to say that they care or they don't care, it's okay. Whether they care or they don't care, it doesn't mean that they do their job any better or worse. Okay, is the best way that I can put that, right? So, you know, you'll find different things. I've seen people that care. I've seen people that don't care. And I've seen both be effective. They might be effective in very different ways, but I've seen both be effective, right? And you know, organizations can be very cliquish, right? Can be very, you know, this is my crew, and these are the people we're rolling with, and there's a leadership member exchange. You know, that seems to occur in some organizations where, you know, the leader and the member that's operating in the group, in the in group, you know, get certain benefits, and the people in the out group don't get the same benefits. So things like that, you know, happen for sure. But I've never seen a CTO's job description say they gotta care, right? They be hiring a very different kind of person if they wanted somebody that just cares, right? Some of those CTOs are just trying to move up to another position. They're trying to make more money. They're trying to do a lot of things that y'all trying to do. Because everybody that's a scrum master don't care about the team. Yeah, I've seen it, right? I've seen it. So it really is important, right? I remember when we were doing. I remember early on with organizations working with people in Hyderabad, right, or Chennai, right, and how they would treat the people there, right. I don't even like using the words onshore, offshore, because if I would think it's so demoralizing, right? To just say, well, call onshore people, call offshore people, right? I think it's hugely demoralizing, right? And then when I go over there and I've had many conversations with them that live in those cities, right? They don't feel very positive about how we treat them, right? So, you know, that's a part of globalization. That's a whole nother topic, a whole nother conversation, and everything else. So, we are running out of our normal time. My apologies for all the hiccups that we had earlier. I just know that when I'm in certain places, I got to make sure things happen. And I think we're just gonna start. I may just next year just only do YouTube. I may have to do that. Get everybody on LinkedIn and come on over to YouTube. And then we can be in one space, and I can operate with you in this space. Because I think the hiccup, I had no problem joining YouTube tonight. I had problems when I tried to join both. So my apologies to you. Next week we're gonna do better. But next week, here's the deal. Here's what I need from you next week. I need to know what actions you're taking in the next 3 months. No, not December, but starting January 1. What actions are you going to be taking toward meeting your goals for 2023? We talked about goals earlier, right? We talked about the goals like 6-8 weeks ago, right? So what I want to know now is, after talking about those goals, what actions are you going to take 2023 toward that? So come back, and then we can start holding not people accountable, each other accountable. Okay, so I look forward to seeing you next week. Next week will be our last week together. Right? At least until January 9th. So we're gonna take 2-3 weeks off, I think. I may just get on for the fun of it though. So if you see, just know I may just jump on. So, but that being said, I'm gonna say once again, thank you all. I appreciate you. I'm going to see you on an agile journey. Enjoy the rest of your night. Enjoy the rest of your week. For those that are going on holiday, like some of these big companies, they're going on holiday now, right? Enjoy your time off, man. I will see you on December 19th. The last one of 2020. This is our 45th episode. That'll be our 46th episode. The only time we've actually missed having this show is on holidays. So the holidays is when we did not have this show. Other than that, we've been here every single Monday. So look, we're going to continue doing that. I'm going to see you all next week, December 19th. We're going to celebrate a little bit by talking about what we're going to start off with in 2023. And then, hell, I'm planning on holding all y'all accountable to that mess, man. I really do. And I want you to hold me accountable, right? I'm going to grow this show. I'm going to have a men's event. I'm going to do some great things with Bearded Eagle. I'm going to have some hardship classes. We're going to do all kinds of stuff in 2023. In the first 3 months, we're going to do that kind of stuff for real. So that being said, y'all, peace, y'all. Y'all have a really good one. I'll see you next week, okay? Good night.